This is Jay McCaskey with Writers Block Media Group, and I'm sitting here with the 2012 SIAC champion head volleyball coach, Brittany Black. Coach Black, let's talk about the preseason and how you guys got started and got to the level of winning this championship. How do you feel the girls performed, and did you change anything from your previous season to this season to get you to that level?
Well, our preseason, you can kind of say, started in the spring. So January 2012, the of last year was kind of when we put our game plan in motion. A lot of strength and conditioning, running, on the track and things like that is where we started, and that was kind of the base that we used. We got into the gym a couple times a couple times a week, and just worked on some fundamentals, basics, kind of bring everything back, make sure everybody was on the same page. And so that's where we started. And so our preseason wasn't its normal, 2 or 3 weeks before the season actually starts. But I think our preseason really goes all the way back to January.
And with your preseason, did you have anybody to just step up and take a more leadership role? Because sometimes you have players who they don't come around right off the bat. But, what was special about this season? And, talk about the people who stepped up and just took on that leadership role to get the team ready.
Well, actually, over the summertime, I had a few girls who decided to stay for the summer. And I think that kind of in itself showed the team we're serious about this. Just to name a few, Tanisha Spears, Ashley Brooks, Kaylin Blackman, our setter, they decided to stay, and they worked with our strength and conditioning coach. They, pretty much worked out every day, ran every day. We got into the gym as well, and that was kind of the start I could see of the seriousness. Like I said, we worked out in January and started there, but it was really the summertime where that extra, work kind of paid off for the fall.
Okay, going into the season, the SIC puts out this annual rankings of where everybody should be. Looking at where they ranked you, how you finished, did you use that as motivation for your players?
Well, they actually had us ranked fourth behind Albany State, Claflin University, and Benedict College, and just ahead of Payne College and Fort Valley State. And being fourth for me was an insult. I feel like my team, because I returned everyone except for one player, I felt like we were the complete team. I feel like we had that year of experience, and I feel like we were, we should have been at the top of the list. And so I presented that to the team, and, they used that as motivation. If people are going to overlook us, and if people aren't, prepared for what it is that we can offer, then, we'll use that as motivation. But it also brought along our nickname. The conference gave us Dark Horses. And we kind of used that throughout the season, and as we got into the tournament, as the surprise team. It wasn't a surprise to us, but since everyone else, clearly couldn't see what it was that Clark Atlanta Volleyball is all about, then that was enough motivation for us.
What was that special moment during the season that made you say, you know what, we're right there. I think we're going to win this championship?
There were a couple of moments. The one that stands out the most is when we went to our crossover tournament, and it's held at Kentucky State University in the middle of September. So it's early on in the season, but we played everyone from the west side of the conference, and the second match, I believe, was against Kentucky State University. And the girls, we did our normal warm-up, and everything was the same, but I'd say the first 5 or 6 points, there was a different energy from them. There was something just that came out of them, and it didn't stop for the rest of the season. And that was kind of when I looked at them and I could see, they were really prepared and they were really serious about winning this championship that we had set as a goal.
When you got to the tournament, normally everybody says, oh, we're going home the first day. And there's times where the bag or the hotels are not even booked past the first day. Did you get a sense that when you got there, you belonged there, or was it just this eerie feeling at first when when you got to the tournament?
Because of last year was a lot of motivation for us. It was a lot of experience for us, and that I owe this championship a lot to last year. And I think the girls realized the importance of what we went through last year, the trials, the tribulations, the ups and the downs. But when we got to the tournament, I told the girls, I said, plan on being here until Friday, plan on practicing the week after, going to regionals. It was always in our heads that we were going to win. I knew that my team was capable of beating everybody at the tournament. I knew we were the best team there. It was just a matter of us performing, and actually putting it on the floor. But the first day was an odd day because the first team we played actually forfeited. And so we didn't get to play our first match. And so we sat and, waited a couple of hours and then played the number 1 seed, Albany State. And when they came out that first game and, they were determined, they were on a mission, they had something not to prove to anybody in the conference, but they had something to prove to themselves. And after that, I knew if we played like that for the rest of the tournament that, the championship was ours as long as we did play volleyball.
The championship game is always special, but it seems like things just go wrong like that morning. Like nothing goes right, and you're walking around and you're saying, man, this just can't be happening today. Did you have one of those moments, and then once you got past that moment and actually got to the game, how was the air around the team?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I had one of those moments where I felt like, oh no, this is not starting off well. I did have a feeling or a sense. We went to breakfast and my breakfast was terrible, and so for a split second I said, I don't know if I like the way this morning is starting off. But honestly, like, I have a great group of girls. This team is wonderful, and so as much as I was trying to focus on, the fact this was a championship game, we had, a great morning, and, after the whole breakfast thing, everything else was fine. So there was nothing really that, made me sit back and, kind of reevaluate what was about to happen. I knew that they were prepared and, they were going to go in for battle, and I knew Albany State was too. So that's all, all I could expect.
After you guys won the championship, how did it feel being bringing home that first championship for Clark Atlanta, and now being able to raise this banner? What does that mean to you and the team?
I knew we would have been the first, but to hear it said and, to now a couple weeks later for it to kind of sink in, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to really put into words what it means to be the first to ever do something. I played here as a player, and I was working for this goal, but to do it as a coach, it means something completely different. But, the fact that the young ladies that, I was able to work with and able to, to coach, the whole thing is just, it's kind of surreal. It really is.
All right, you're getting ready to head to the regionals facing the University of Tampa. It's always tough going on the road, but dark horses. I'm going to use that because you're going on the road as a dark horse. Other conferences don't respect the SAIC. How can you use that as motivation to say, let's win this first tournament game and then move on to the next round?
You said it right there. Nobody necessarily, I wouldn't say respect. I would say, we are under the radar. We can use that term. So, we are dark horses again. Once again, we are coming in and nobody's really looking for us. So, why not go down there and make some more history? We've talked about that for the entire season, what we're building towards. It's not just for this year, it's for the coming years. So, going to the University of Tampa, and that's where, the regionals, or our regional will be hosted. It's a great start, if we can go down there and win a set, and then build and, win another set and eventually win a first game, that would be something absolutely amazing. Even more amazing than, this championship. So, that's enough motivation right there. We're going to be dark horses for, a couple of more weeks. And then after that, the target's kind of on our back. So I think we're ready.
Okay. The future of Clark Atlanta women's volleyball, it, to me, is blossoming greatly. And this championship is going to even improve things more. What do you expect going into, I hate to look so far ahead, but looking into next season, what do you expect, because you're going to be losing some players and bringing in newcomers. How are your returners going to be able to bring them to this championship level once they come in?
We are losing some great girls. I'm losing one two-time all-conference selection, the MVP of the conference tournament. So some great girls, a defensive specialist for us who's been here for 4 years. So it's going to be hard to replace them, but I know the girls that are coming back are still motivated. One is not enough for us. We all have some pretty high expectations for ourselves. So, my job as a coach is, of course, to recruit and to keep things, moving upward. And so that's what we're doing is we're looking, towards the future. And so, just going out there and, getting talented volleyball players, getting smart volleyball players. I'm looking at, some transfers to kind of, keep us at a high level rather than having to kind of start over. That kind of helps, curb the rebuilding process. But, if I can, go out and I know this championship kind of, makes it a little more appealing. We have a lot of things that we can, kind of reach out and, use as recruiting tools. So that's really what I'm looking for is some, some experience, some age. That always helps. And, just to get girls who are as motivated as the ones that I have now. We're playing at a high level and we want to continue that. And so it's my job to bring in, people who are going to maintain that level.
Final question. We've talked in the past before about just changing the aura of not only the team, but just the environment. And I've told you before, I feel like you've done an outstanding job with just changing the way players feel about volleyball, but the way they come in and now, it seems like they respect the game even more. How can you build on that, or what do you do to build even more chemistry with your players and keep it at that high level?
For me, it's about building a legacy rather than just focus on one season. Okay, we did something great for 2012, but what are you going to leave behind? We have a lot of scholar athletes. We have our SAC president. We have young ladies who are more than just athletes. And so for me, if I'm going to continue to build a program, I want my team to leave a legacy behind. And we've already started off on a great note, being the first team in history, CAU history to win a championship. But let's continue that legacy. Let's add to it. Let's continue with the great grades, continue with the community service efforts, and of course the athletic, accomplishments as well. But that's what I want for them is I want them to build a legacy. I want them to leave a legacy. Everyone's going to always remember the 2012 Clark Atlanta women's volleyball team. But what else are they going to remember about you other than you won a championship? That's important to me as well. I tell them I don't treat them like children. I treat them like young adults because that's what they are. That's what I want them to be. When they finish, they graduate, they leave here, that's what they're going to be, adults. So, let's start that process, and that's what we should look forward to.
All right, this has been Jay McCaskey at Clark Atlanta University with the 2012 SIAC Volleyball Champions.